Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. This person we're going to talk to is the answer to your dreams. And I really do mean that, because how many times have you had a dream and you wondered what it meant? There's probably a reason you had it. It probably is your subconscious telling you something. This is just my thought. She's going to confirm all of this because she is an amazing psychologist. She's an author. She's a speaker. She does all types of therapy with individuals, couples, groups, and of course, some of that includes dreams. Dr. Ann Creekmore joins us again on the program. Welcome back. How are you?
Good. How are you, Steve?
Very well. And this is, I didn't honestly know that this was in your wheelhouse for analyzing dreams and helping us understand them. I personally don't have a lot of dreams that I remember, but then it's my recent understanding that if you're not dreaming, then you're not fully sleeping. And I have to believe in the last couple of weeks, my sleep has been, it's been okay. I'm going to bed too late, too much going on, need to adjust that. No problem. But I'm thinking that's why I don't have or remember so many dreams, because maybe I'm not in the deepest possible sleep. Is that true?
Well, we supposedly all dream, and it starts out like every 90 minutes we're having a dream, but it could be a short dream. And because we kind of go through these stages, and when we're in REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, we're dreaming during that phase, but we're going through different other phases as well, light sleep, deep sleep, restorative sleep, or REM sleep, and they kind of go through this cycle. And over time, you can, even if you stay in the cycle, you don't wake up with restless sleep, that by the morning you could be having, a 90-minute dream, even, I believe that, it builds up over time. So we do consistently, supposedly, or if we're having normal sleep, go into REM sleep regularly within the cycle. The problem is that we don't remember our dreams. And that can be part of it too. It could be that you're dreaming, but you just don't wake up and remember it. And there are little tips that you can do for yourself to help you remember the dreams, which is to, when you do wake up, just to kind of stay really still. I mean, don't even move, kind of shake it out of your head. If you just kind of lay there in that light, really light sleep, certain images may start to come back to you and you may be able to remember your dream. I mean, if you're interested in doing some dream interpretation and understanding your dreams, you kind of can have a pad or pen and pencil next to you and just jot down some images or a little title or a little sentence plot or something, and that would help you remember the dreams as well. So maybe a function partly of just not remembering them. You wake up and you start thinking of something else and you just don't remember it.
Or you remember it for a moment. I'm like, oh, that was interesting. Wow. And
yes. Exactly. Then it's gone.
Right. Or you woke up and then you went back to sleep and now you completely forgot about it.
Exactly.
So that being said, as we're talking, I'm getting a memory of a dream I had a couple of weeks ago. And I know it sounds almost kind of cheesy, like cliche-ish, but I was going up a road and it was a steep climb. And I don't remember a lot because it was a few weeks ago, but it just popped in my head that I remember that looking at this road that I needed to travel up. And I have some ideas what that could mean. Does it mean what I'm actually seeing or thinking, that, uphill battle, uphill challenges?
Well, it could mean that. I wouldn't say that for positive. It's like you have to look at the dream and see how it relates to your life. Like, it's like when you're dreaming, it's kind of like your unconscious. Remember Freud, Carl Jung, the whole about our subconscious, and that we're dreaming in symbols. And pictures, like it's a movie. Our thought process are like a movie getting played out with symbols that we need to interpret. And so what you do is you look at the dream and the basic plot of the dream, and we can look at this one and play with it a little bit to see if we can come up with what it does mean. You want to try that?
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, if you want Anne to look at your dream, maybe you've had one recently,
Mhm.
instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. That's instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. So are we going to dissect my dream?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm teasing. If you want to, only if you want to. Okay, so the first thing, like, because this will teach people also a little bit of some steps. If they can remember it, you can kind of start interpreting your dreams. And dreams can mean different things. They can be kind of in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's just sort of a flash of insight about something,
Right.
and we can talk about that later. Toward the end, by the morning, your brain's been working on things so long, and it can be just discharging energy or anxiety or representing stuff of how you're feeling in your life. Or by the morning, it could be a problem solving dream, like where you've thought things through, and then there's something in the dream helping you to have a resolution to some problem you're having. So, do you remember at all what time that you had that dream? Like, is it like when you first fell asleep in the middle of the night or just early in the morning? Any thoughts on that?
Again, a few weeks ago, I want to say that it was in the middle of the night or 3/4 into my sleep. So if it's 7 hours, little more
Okay.
toward wake up time, couple hours before ish.
Okay. It could be kind of like your mind is thinking about something and trying to give you some insight. And dreams are never for the negative. I mean, it's even if you have a nightmare or something like it looks like an uphill road you're traveling, it's not to, tell you something bad. Something might look bad in a dream just to catch your attention. So you'll wake up and pay attention to it, but it's there because it's figured something out and it can help you in a good way. So, the first thing that I suggest to clients, if we're just going to interpret a dream together, would be to say, well, give the dream a title. It's just any old title that comes to your mind.
Um, the climb, because I felt like it
That's
was it
right.
was a climb.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Hmm.
Okay, then you describe the dream in a sentence or two, like the plot, like of a play, like when you're reading the acts, and just a little what it was, just a little plot description of the dream.
I just vividly remember a road leading away from me, maybe the lines on the road going away, right? Um, and it wasn't like, a steep road, but it was substantial in terms of I'd have to, if I was in a car, maybe have to change a gear if it's manual, and it went up.
Okay. All right. Cool. Now, what would you say? Then you break it down to the parts of the dream or the like the symbols that you can interpret. So, well, first of all, before I forget, how did you feel in the dream? What was the emotion that you were having during the dream?
Gonna need a moment on that one. Let me
Take
think
your
about
time.
that.
Take your time.
Um, what comes to mind, and I'm replaying it in my mind, challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Feel a challenge within, um,
Mm-hmm.
in seeing it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Would you
that's
say like if you put it in emotion, because a challenge is kind of a thought. Remember, if it was an emotion, would it be like
uh,
overwhelmed or
ooh,
struggling, like emotionally struggling, or like you know,
work.
apprehensive?
Uh, uh, um, I wouldn't say despair. I wouldn't say um, fear. Um, Overall, uplifted, knowing something. I've got to do this.
Mhm.
But I wasn't like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? No, it was just like, yeah, all right. So I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to identify the emotion, but I guess uh, hopeful.
Yeah,
Is
okay,
that
good. Kind of determined and hopeful. Okay, that's good. Now we look at and this is a good dream for us to look at because it's fairly, doesn't have that many props to it to look at. You're talking about the road, and it's slightly going up. Uh, what is this? So what you want to do is think about what would be a standard interpretation, say, of something like, say, if there was a gun in a dream, a standard interpretation for somebody might be it's a potential threat or aggression or something, or if they're a police person who use it, could be part of job, So what would the road mean to you? And you can look at it in a variety of ways. You can look at it literally, like, does that road remind you? Do you have an association of road that looks like that you used to travel? A poem, a book that, it's got that, just any kind of association you might have to the road is what we're looking for now. We're look at the symbol, and then you look at the associations, any associations you have to the road, like, obviously trip, a journey, travel, those kind of things, like you've mentioned, that you're driving, going somewhere, and you've got to go somewhere. Maybe it's a little steep.
Interesting you say that, because I never thought of it until you did say it. And I'm trying to go through my mind and get a reason why I saw it. But I moved a year and a half ago, and there's a street over from me that is loaded with hills, up and down. And it is in the area where I live, it is the highest point for miles, 50 miles, if not, where I live on Long Island, it's 100 miles. This is the highest part on the
interesting.
island. And as I look, I'm like, I could see this being one of those hills. So I don't know if it's connected where I live. I never thought of that until you just said that, Ann.
Exactly, because that's what you're thinking about. Like, ultimately, we're trying to relate this back to your life and what this means. So is there anything else significant about that other street that, did anything ever happen on it? Do you drive on it? Does somebody live there that, you share whatever you feel like sharing. But is there anything that comes to you that we could add to that understanding that might relate to that area?
Yeah, maybe. I often drive with my daughter on that road, and when we first moved, we would go up and down that road just for fun. And
nice.
You can't go fast on that road, but a couple of spots where you can speed up a little bit.
You get a little lift and up and down.
Right, you have that coming down. And we'd open up the sunroof, and but I would only be on that road with her. I have no reason to take that road. I really don't, because it's not, there's other roads around, and it's more challenging on that road, because again, let's put it this way. It's over 300 feet above sea level where I'm right now. I'm about 60 something feet. I have an elevation app on my phone.
Right.
So it's way up there, and you got to be careful driving it. But I never connected that road to this dream. So maybe there is a connection there.
Yes. It's very interesting because, it may relate to something with your daughter then too. That's the road going up and down that you go, that you've done that and kind of had fun with her on that road. So it's getting more information in there. And so you're kind of wanting to ask yourself in the dream, that's good, looking at all the associations to the props and so on, if you will. And then you kind of are wanting to ask yourself some other questions to start to relate it to your life. You can ask yourself, before you do that, is there any mistake you made in the dream? Or any mistake made in this dream. Sometimes dreams come, like especially one that might feel uncomfortable, and we're not necessarily dealing with a nightmare today, thank goodness, right? But it may be because it's giving you some information about something that you might make a mistake with. And I can just give you a quick example of that one. Like, a person had this dream that he was driving on a road, is what reminded me of it, driving on a road, and he had empty bottles in the back of his car, and he just decided to chuck them out his window. Glass bottles, right? Not just right, but it's a dream. And then, of course, obviously, that would be the mistake that was made in the dream. And because he was thinking, he threw them out, and they said, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to drive to work on this road tomorrow, and then I'm probably going to slash my tires, or somebody else is on the way there." That was the mistake in the dream. So then we pulled it out to relate to his life. And what he had planned to do the next day was go to work and kind of lash out at a coworker he was mad at. And it was kind of like, oh, maybe this is my symbolism of that. I do not want to go into where I'm going to have to work the next, from that on, and then lash out at somebody. So that's how, things can tie in. So the question would be, can you see any mistake there? Or go ahead. What were you going to say? Yeah.
You said bottles, right?
Yes.
What was, from your understanding, what do you think the significance of the bottles in the dream were?
Something that's, was, it was just a dangerous lashing out kind of an action that he took, glass. I mean, just, throwing something out. Like, you go to work and you just start telling somebody off, you lash out at them, almost, you don't physically do it, but you're verbally lashing out. Now,
Gotcha.
what do you think about that? You had a thought on that, on the bottles.
I don't know if it's, it could be, it could be related to alcohol. What do I know?
Absolutely. Verbal aggression is, the first phase of alcoholism. And that's an excellent. See, you're taking it to a whole deeper level there. Like, it's not only like, maybe it's not so good for me to be, having something to drink before I walk into work and then telling somebody off, possibly.
Right.
Or just, you don't have to be drinking to be verbally aggressive with alcoholism. It becomes, you're used to quick fixes. So a quick fix would be to lash out at somebody verbally, or a quick fix would be to have a drink and calm down and, drown your sorrow or chill, from it. So,
wow.
So that takes it. You see what I'm saying? You're taking things to an even deeper level with that dream.
I have somebody checking in. And by the way, we're going to move forward from here, but I'm just going to say to you, and that based on what we just said in the dream that I had,
yes,
I think it reaffirmed some things in my mind. Don't need to go into detail.
Okay,
cool. I am going to say, based on and what you did, I really mean this, fabulously dissecting the situation, and because I didn't even think of it, I just saw a road. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got. I don't know what it means.
And that's how you do it. And then you did it on your own now, where you just think about, how does this relate to my life? What insight do I get? What is it saying to me?
So I got it. Good job. I see something, and it does make total sense based on the dream, but I would not have seen it unless we didn't do this.
Yes. So we've got the steps. Those are the steps.
So I don't know what we can do for Kelly, but let's look at it. She's from Bangor, Maine. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com is where she checks in. She said, I had a dream 2 nights ago about a bird. I'm pretty sure it was a mockingbird, as it was repeating things, and I vividly remember what it looks like and Googled it. What could it mean based on my dream?
Yes. Could she share? Can you ask her anything, or should we have the capacity to do that?
We'd have to wait for her to email back, and probably don't have the time. So I see where, that this is challenging, but, maybe just initial thoughts that you might have based on what she said. Sure.
I mean, you could give it a title, the mockingbird, or, the parroting the bird, parroting back, somebody's parroting back things, saying things. What we would want to look at is, what does that mockingbird mean to her? Like, what are her associations to it? Like, we looked at that and had to take it and find out the road. Oh, that's like the road, in my neighborhood with my daughter. So she would look at it, the mockingbird, what does that symbolize to her? And what associations from her childhood, from current, what does it mean? You can look it up. I mean, it's easy these days. I love the dream interpretation symbol books, but you can just get right on your iPad and Google, what is the interpretation, standard interpretation for a mockingbird? And then that is between her associations and, the standard symbols, then to ask, what does this remind me of? Or who does this remind me of? Or when? Or does this remind me of? And what is it that to ask also the question, could it be, sometimes dreams can be a symbol of some virtue too. You can say, is this sort of a dream that is saying something positive to me? I mean, for me, I think, we think sometimes of birds, and I'm not saying a mockingbird because I don't know what that standard interpretation is for that particular one. She looked it up.
Right.
But you could say, it could be a joyful thing. It could be a song. It could be something positive. So I didn't add that in, but that's another question you ask yourself is like, is this giving you any sort of message of the positive things, of the good, something good in your life? But then she can ask, like, well, is there a mistake in the dream? Did something happen? What would that mistake be if there is? Because that's a clue as to something it's trying to warn you, you're unconscious, like, think about this, prevent this.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, though, how does this mockingbird relate to your life? And what's going on in your life that's there that would help you with something in your life? Like you took it to the point of some insight for yourself. You have a general idea of a road going up, but then now it's when you look at your life, it really makes sense. You get some insight.
As I see it here, we can go online. There's lots of dream interpretations and, just the basic stuff. However, this is the big however. You help somebody truly understand it, because I'm sure if I went online, what does it mean and Google it, what does it mean when somebody dreams about a hill on a road? And invariably you're going to get, uphill battle, challenges, yada, yada, blah, 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 which is all good. And actually, to be honest with you, that kind of relates to the dream I had, if I want to put that in some context. But in you doing the deep dive with all of these questions, which are, I admit, very fabulous in terms of, it's like a production, give it a name, who was in it, all those details. It made it clear for me where it would not, guaranteed would not, if I just Googled it. I would have gotten, challenges. Where are the challenges?
Right.
When we dug deeper into it, dropped down the rabbit hole, if you will, of that dream, I see it clear now. And I'm pretty sure what it all means.
Right. And I'm sorry I couldn't help her. I'm so glad you got it. And I can't help her more. But if she asks herself those questions, maybe she can then see how that relates to her life. Right. Because that is the process of it, just to take it deep, kind of, see, and then it's all there for the good. It's part of your mind working things out for you.
So cool. like seriously. And does it give me answers to a situation or problem, challenge? No. However, it just reaffirms, and that's this particular dream. There you could have dreams where you're searching for answers and it could come clear.
Right.
If somebody talks with you and then dissects it. Fabulous. Right. Wow, that was fun. Really. I never even thought of it that way.
Interpretation. I mean,
wow.
And it's so helpful. Yeah.
I never knew that this is what you do in addition to everything else with the great books that you have. Of course, the, psychological evaluations and everything. And what's your website? How do we find you?
Psychologistinvirginia.com is my main website. And I've got another one too. It's got my books and CDs or MP3s for hypnosis on it. And that's the Love You Life, healingcenter.com.
So it's psychologistinvirginia.com, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then it had most everything on it. You can get to everything.
Yeah. Always great talking with you. I learn stuff all the time. It was actually now, for me and the rest of us, when we have a dream, those are the questions we know that we can start asking and maybe get some answers, because I truly believe everything you're looking for an answer for, you have it. You already know what the answer is. It's there.
Go within, connect, and you. Yes, and we have everything we need to be happy.
Yeah. Go within.
You are.
Go within and dream on. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.